just got the first copy of my book.
Prior to entry, and be posted by Legal Immigration Services.
Guys, how are you? It's Brett Miller here from Rehabilitation.
Fantastic service, fantastic. Always recommend me.
Hey guys, Brennan Miller here. I wanted to do a really quick video about criminality and serious criminality and all of those different things that surround that. But I want to talk about DUIs or driving under the influence, because you know what? Unfortunately, a lot of people fall in this category, and they're really surprised and maybe wind up in an embarrassing situation when they arrive at the border. So let's start off. Why a DUI is not just a DUI. The problem is that this is recognized as a serious crime in Canada, and this can affect your criminal record, your driving record, obviously cause harm or death to others, which we all know, right? DUIs in your country of origin or in Canada can severely affect your status and chances of actually coming or staying in Canada. This is actually really surprising to a lot of people, and a lot of people actually don't understand this, especially people who are permanent residents, and in fact, maybe have a little bit of a tussle with this, and then they find that they're actually being asked to leave, not so politely, from Canada. The penalties surrounding DUIs under the criminal code have influenced this classification of impaired driving under IRPA, all right? The new penalties have escalated the offense from impaired driving from criminality to serious criminality, okay? And this is under the immigration context. All right, so what happens with these increased penalties? On December 18th, 2018, the penalties for impaired driving increased, and a mandatory minimum penalties were set in the criminal code, okay? This was under Bill C-46, which strengthened the existing impaired driving laws and created one of the strongest DUI laws, or driving under the influence, or alcohol-related laws in the world. So what led on to this? It was after the decriminalization of cannabis in 2018 here in Canada. DUIs in Canada now have to address the drug-impaired driving, and that was the precipice for the change. Like blood alcohol levels determined in the criminal code, the levels of drugs are also set out there too. Now, how do DUIs and inadmissibility relate in an immigration context? So, if you're convicted of impaired driving in your country of origin, you may be inadmissible to Canada for serious criminality. A lot of people are like, what? What are you talking about? It was just a DUI, everybody gets those, right? Not here. All right, well, not here. I mean, it's not treated like that here. In most cases, if you have a charge of serious criminality, can't come to Canada. You're considered inadmissible. Because you're driving under the influence or DUI charge, there are options to enter Canada temporarily or to become admissible again. And I want to talk about those. But before we do, we're going to talk about where this is found in the law. Section 36 of IRPA, that a permanent resident or foreign national is inadmissible on the grounds of serious criminality for A, having been convicted in Canada of an offense punishable by a maximum imprisonment of at least 10 years, or an offense where 6 months imprisonment has been imposed. Another situation, having been convicted of an offense outside of Canada that, if committed in Canada, would constitute an offense punishable by a maximum imprisonment of at least 10 years, or committing an act outside of Canada that's an offense in the place where it was committed, and if committed in Canada would constitute an offense punishable by maximum imprisonment of at least 10 years. All right? So, impaired driving in the criminal code. Got to talk about that too, because where does this derive from? It derives from section 320.14 of the criminal code, which states, everyone who commits an offense who operates a conveyance while a person's ability to operate it is impaired to any degree by alcohol or a drug, or by a combination of alcohol and a drug. DUIs are recognized as a serious crime in the criminal code and correspondingly considered serious criminality under IRPA, okay? So, what do? I was convicted of driving while impaired. What can I do to enter Canada? Great question. There's a number of different things that you can do. The first one, which is kind of the quick fix, is something called a TRP, which is a temporary resident permit. The temporary resident permit is a document that's issued to a foreign national to enter and remain in Canada for a period of time, okay? The foreign national can reside in Canada despite their past criminal record, but you gotta prove that your reason for traveling to Canada is justified and you gotta pay the processing fee. Okay, so, you know, just coming up for a baseball game or whatever, not really a good thing. The TRP is actually a discretionary tool that allows somebody to overcome something when normally they can't do it. I'll give you an example. Let's pretend that, you know, you show up, and this example happens all the time. We'll get somebody coming in from the States, you know, the way that the American and Canadian computer systems are hooked together, the officer at the border can just type in, find out if you actually have a DUI, or they can ask you. So don't lie, right? It's all at their fingertips, okay? So if you're asked that question, it is an offense to actually lie to an officer, so make sure that you don't do that. But if you have a DUI, they can pull it up, then they'll say, oh, you can't come to Canada now. And you're like, well, what do? I've got this business meeting and I gotta go in, I gotta meet these people. It's kind of a little, you know, embarrassing. It was a long time ago, blah, 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 whatever, right? But what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to, the officer has the ability to give you a TRP, you'll pay $200, they'll process it, and then they'll give you a sheet of paper, looks like a work permit, say temporary resident permit, for you to be able to come in. The officer just can't say, yeah, I guess it sounds okay, it was a little bit of a thing, I'll just let you by this time. Can't do it because it's the law, right? Okay, so that's the first thing. The other thing is that you can be deemed rehabilitated. Now, when the crime was committed outside of Canada and enough time has passed since you've served your sentence, right? Then you can actually be deemed rehabilitated. This depends on the crime that you committed, if enough time has passed when the sentence was imposed, and if you've committed multiple crimes, okay? If you're deemed to be rehabilitated, you can be allowed to enter Canada if all the other immigration requirements are met. If you are deemed, you don't have to be rehabilitated, you are still criminally inadmissible, and you could apply for individual rehabilitation in order to enter Canada, okay? Now, the other option would be to apply for rehabilitation if you meet the eligibility criteria and at least 5 years has passed since you committed the crime or completed the sentence, or more so, okay? So, this is just a little snippet of this area. I want you to know that I've actually done a really deep dive on this, and I did a master class with another a lawyer. Her name is Katina Hunter-Sutcliffe. She works in this area a lot. And again, there's a real magic to this. Well, not a magic, but depending on where you're coming from, to see where I've chosen DUIs here, but depending on where you're coming from, you know, you need to actually equate the laws from where you're coming from to Canadian laws. And sometimes this can get tricky because there might not be something that's applicable, okay? That's the biggest thing. So if you have any questions about a DUI or any other types of criminal inadmissibility stuff, please feel free to reach out and we'll be more than happy to help out. And again, make sure you understand where you sit with this stuff prior to doing anything, because I can tell you, this is a very dangerous way to sink your application very quickly. You need to be aware of this. You need to understand what the ramifications are, and you definitely need to have this all planned out and deal with it head on prior to doing anything. All right, I'm gonna leave it at that. Please feel free to like, subscribe, or turn on notifications. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. We've got a great team here and we'll be more than happy to help you out. All right, take care guys. We'll talk to you soon.